Talofa lava and greetings from New Zealand. My name is Caleb Lani Alo. This week we are celebrating the 30th episode of the Reads with Rosa podcast, and it is my honor to introduce the special guests, my uncle Lani and his best friend Livy. But they are better known around the world as award-winning Samoan artists Lani Alo and Livingstone Efu. They are the team behind the worldwide hit Alo faiva, which has hit 2.7 million views on YouTube since its release in August 2019. 3 weeks ago, we saw the release of the latest single by Lani Alo, manū, which they also co-wrote. Make sure you subscribe to the Reads with Rosa podcast on YouTube or follow on Spotify or Google Podcasts. I'm hoping that one day in the near future, I will feature on one of Uncle Lani's songs or videos. And when that happens, you'll hear it first. Anyway, enjoy the show!
Welcome to the space where creatives have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. Read with Rosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe. Welcome to the 30th episode of the Reads with Rosa podcast. I'm so excited to introduce today's guests. I'm a little bit nervous because yes, they are family, but today is all about celebrating them as artists and creatives. But before we get into some sharing, life stories, and experiences, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Over to you, Livy.
Talafalava. My name is Bangalipa Angasiaka Livingstone Efu. I am from Samoa, from the village of Ioniwe and Nufuali'i and Almalava. I am currently in Dunedin, studying at the University of Otago.
Cool, malo. Talafalava. My name is Lisa Lani Alo. I am 21. I'm 27 years old, and currently in Auckland at the moment in level 3.1 lockdown. I'm from the villages of Sanapu and Malie, Mangiangi, Malava, and Lauli, Tutuila, and full-time artist and creative consultant.
Thank you guys for your introductions. I'm so honored to have you here on the show, and for you to be able to share a little bit of yourself and your respective journeys with our listeners and audience. I guess we'll get straight into it. Growing up in the Whakasa church, you are both faiva. How old were you when you first started playing for church?
I actually can't remember when was the first time I played at church. It was because it was normally my older brother, Ipa. He's the main faiva for our choir back in Samoa. But when he went to Fiji for his studies, that's when I started taking over the choir and start doing pieces. But there are other faiva as well in Aniwe. So we kind of took turns every Sundays. I can't remember what exact year I started playing for the choir.
When did I think it was 2007. 2007. I distinctly remember. Because I used to get in trouble. I was that kid who wasn't allowed. Like, not all the kids are allowed to play on the. Like, you're not allowed to look at the piano. And I remember, getting growled off by one of the kiakongos all the time because on Friday bingo I'd sneak into church and be playing, and then after getting snapped and growled off so many times by the koinga and Lucky, I was finally allowed to have a go and play. And I remember it was 2007 because it was the first time I composed a pese for the Sunday school and youth, and taught it yeah, that same year that I became a faipa. So yeah.
So in terms of being a fepese, I'm sure you've all got your favorite hymns. But what is one hymn that stands out for you, like your go-to pese? Um, yeah, what's a go-to hymn for each of you?
Mm. I think for me, I like most of the old Ifakasa tunes, the ones that are still in the green Ifakasa church book.
Mm,
Mga yung ay fakikuwai nga pa. I really like 146. Buwa e Mautofi.
mm,
Buwa e Mautofi. Yeah, I really
mm,
like that one. I don't hear Ifakasa churches sing that song as often as we used to.
mm.
Yeah.
What is it about that song specifically that you like? Like, what is it about the words that kind of I don't know
Yeah.
resonate with?
Um, it's the words of the song. Kile opisi Ifakasa. They wrote the song as they basically just translated the palangi, the faki palangi that they or kilo pese or like Thomas Power ma
Mm,
siya inga fa pese so ko inga la Samoa the way they translated those English songs to Samoan whanganga upu pe ala le upu nga maka mai po wa e mau tofi le malo po wa e fia ngai mai Yesu. It started off as a question.
mm,
Really, have you? I think that's why I like this hymn ole amakanga men ole pesi.
mm.
Mm.
Lani, what about you? What's one of your go-to hymns?
Oh, my go-to hymns. One of my faves. Go to on a Sunday. Like if we haven't had choir practice on Saturday, I know I can play the song any time of the year, and it'll be sicky. It's 168. 168
Mm.
o me from Maloshi. Like no matter what church you like, I find myself playing in, or yeah, anywhere you go, any Sunday lele ka wa o avo yangane.
Mm,
E
That's my
mai va
go-to.
pesi e fe kau i vo ia isu se koi nga occasion na maliu
Yeah,
pa poi ponga fe kau
mm.
ia ale pesi nga. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the nice song.
yeah.
You know,
It's
oh, sorry, go
uh,
ahead. Yeah.
no, yeah, yeah.
Um, what is like? What are some of your favorite memories of being a fepese? I mean, obviously, you've got your favorite hymns, but what are some of these favorite memories that you have that you can share with our audience? I see you laughing, Lani. Do you want to go first?
It's just
I'm a bit nervous.
no, I was just thinking back a couple of years. Oh, we laugh about it now, but I got in trouble like a mad growly one time in Dunedin one time a couple of years ago. I won't go into details, but we always laugh about it now and think about. I won't go into details about that. We'll save that for the biography. Nah. Um, favorite vacation memories. Um. Oh, as when I came to Dunedin, I became full time Faipese. My first time ever being a full time Faipese for the mass choir in Dunedin, and that was in 2016. And that was probably one of the best years of being a Faipese for me. Um, Solid choir, and we got to we got to open for not open, sorry, we got to perform at the town hall with the Dunedin City male choir, and that was cool because that was one of the coolest memories because it was like a full on, palangi concert, and then you got a Samoan Efakasa choir singing some of the most old school beautiful hymns in the town hall. That was a good memory.
Mm,
Yeah, this heaps say the Cheddar album, getting the Cheddar album done, that was mean. That was a mean experience. No, it was tough. It wasn't easy, but yeah, rewarding in terms of learning and um, yeah, heaps of takeaways from that project. Um, but yeah, there are too many memories to kind of pick apart. For me, the being a Faipese in Dunedin has been a highlight of my Faipese career, and in terms of the memories and the people, um, because they're just so loving and accommodating, and we even that year we had to get a new la'au, and they were like, "Alu, so is a la'au, go find a la'au for the Faipese," and I went and got a la'au. I went and got a la'au that was like
Yeah, not just
five,
any la'au.
yeah, not just any la'au, it was like the top brand, like in the line of la'aus. Like if I had said to any other of Faipese, they'd probably be like, "Kau kakele," but they were just like, "Alu, alu, alu, so misila au lele, ke loe lele," and it has like we've still got it, and it's still strong, and I think that was a good choice, good financial decision for our choir. Not
Mm.
that expensive.
What about you, Livy? What are some highlights or a highlight of your, being a Faipese for you?
I've for me, it's mostly in Samoa, in my
Mm,
choir in Niue.
mm,
Um, I really like the time when Ngamula Ulu Boesi came to our came over to Samoa, and we had to take classes for to Koya the theory the música.
mm,
He's the only whaia o ngā música I know I would stay up the whole night. Come whaia o se pise read, and then I'll come over the next day during the class. Guy who I know, I'm like, oh, this is really good. Like I know I played all the keys right, and he's the only one that can stay there and be like, go out. In my head, it gets me frustrated sometimes. But that's how good he is. He tries. Other highlights are mostly from Mies and Kaulanga. I think that's any five percent whakasa. That's their game day.
Season, this is the season,
Yeah.
eh?
Kale game le me mal game Kaulanga fai ale show al five percent. I really like the shift from being a Faipese in Samoa and then coming here and be a Faipese down here in Dunedin with Lani. It's very different. Good different. It's a I'm still trying to adjust. Velele ko nga a Faipese kwaya ni New Zealand. Even though they're all Samoa o ay along ay singa very gave me that way, and the way they answer back to the way, not a bad way, but yeah, it's different. Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask Faipese this question. What are some strategies in dealing with our Faipese who you're trying to teach, and then there's that person at the back who's trying to, be like, could you change this line? Or you have the soprano who is just, too loud,
Mm.
or the alto who's really out of tune. What are some strategies as a Faipese for, trying to find a balance with these challenges and working with a choir?
Uh, I think like it varies. Like you
Mm.
were saying, it's halfway busy. It varies. In some like I when Livy and I were in Samoa last year for our tour, and we got to work with the Aeoniue choir, which is pretty much the church choir and the youth choir put together. And for me, it was a shock. It was the first time I had worked with a Samoan choir in like a church in Samoa, and they are so shikai. Like and so like it's scary. It's scary. Like the level of fa'aloalo and how shikai they were. So when it was I quickly learned that it was okay to uh be a bit more relaxed about leusu kam whai ki lalo whapalengi. Palengi is the whapalengi. If you want to be nice to your choir, whapalengi. You don't say kiki lalo, like kau its own whapalengi. But it varies with Dunedin. It's a different case. It's definitely an older choir, so a bit more patience and Alo
Mm,
Alo is definitely needed. But they understand. They
Mm.
understand. Winger, you don't have to. Um, you do what you got to do. But yeah, I think in that sense, is a whala o i kele a ia whamakalanga. Like if you keep your feedback general and
mm,
pertaining to each vaenga, I think that helps. Unless the dynamic of your choir is that kind of choir where you could be like, Olia,
mm.
Jay, Kiki Lalo, Pasairong, stuff like that. If you if your choir dynamic is like that, Siki, you can do that. But for my experience and the working with the Ayungwe choir and the Nidan choir, it's about keeping it general and because you don't want to. At the end of the day, you still want to have a choir the next day. Yeah. so 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 fai pese aku lisia so o lumba fai au lai. So yeah, I think general comments using that kind of language like Fabalini, Famanaya, you don't want to say. I mean, you could go on for to say, but that general kind of vocab is definitely
Mm.
a good help. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, why you the people like that, people velele, that really the hardest choir for a fight to teach is his own choir. The choir
Mm.
ngaula ma e mala choir wa masangi e. Or I notice this whenever I fight somewhere that they don't know me. E uska iam whaalongo ka same as le mesa e lani le lakungo lani Samoa o ngā
Mm.
lewa ai aku fau mai whai pese le wa ai ma le a so they'll listen and they don't want to put any feedback for ele wa sometimes they know le status o ka le whai pese a la kala se whai pese vele le ngol si me chai lo ka yeah, but if they know the five pieces, the Kangakamawalunga, like how this when Lani came over, when Ngamula Ulu teaches our choir, if Farolongo Umaganga, but yeah, I think it's ele kupua siasia kupura meanga is in a in a different choir ke ele masangi yawe. It's
Mm.
normally your own choir that
Mm.
goes up there.
Fia le whalongo.
What's some advice that you have for we've talked about strategies, but for up and coming, fai bese in the whakasa, just for our young ones coming up, what are some words of advice and or not advice but encouragement, in terms of the ngaluenga, what to expect or perhaps to keep the excitement in the ngaluenga. What's some encouragement that you would give someone?
Um, the what I would say to really ikamiki fai mai makamiki ko amakat fai pese along sa ial me ka wa cuz olenga ruanga fai pese it can put you down in the worst way possible ke le loa yung kupu kung sa fai pese um you'll hear people say stuff about you. It's like any job. Ka koa ia sa mo ko ke la kau kala. Ya al mafuanga la ko ke la isi kupulanga wole ko e feeling al wenga. Because they ke le muy muy male it happens in every church. Ele lo ke le o fa ku a me o vai pesele mala vai pesele. E kupu ia vai pesele uma kau ala ele ka meki ki fai pese o ngā lava long sa e mai loa langa koula le fai o langa kaulanga nga o langa kaulanga munga i le kua o le alu e fai pese.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Livy was saying. It's requires a lot of patience, a lot of patience. Uh, it also requires, um, like some obviously some fabrices are put into their role forcefully, and we understand that. Um, but if you are like if you are serious about the ngalwenga, it's really embrace it. O kele o whai pese ngale o mai a ka pese, that's it. But really embrace the opportunity to be a whai pese because um, it's well, for me, it's like the best like artist studio. When you got a painter in their studio, they have drafts and all of that. It's the same thing with a choir. Like it's your chance to experiment, especially if you're a composer, Faibisi. It's your chance to experiment and really get to know your choir and your craft as well, and bringing that all together is really exciting. You look back on a 5-6 year period, and you see how you've developed as a Faibisi, and that's something really exciting to see your growth. Or Lishi Mea, understand that your role, it's not just about music; it's about the faith as well, and your role played within the church and service. Uh, and yeah, Kelea Ekalesia, there's the faith au, and then the laulau le Ekalesia, and people think that that's like the running of the church is there. Mafo faua the key reason that we go to church and that we worship God is the worship. And so I'm a big believer that the Fifi Au's right hand man in his ministry is his Vaipesi. And I think that's something that Vaipesi's young Vaipesi really need to um, start clicking into and tuning into really early um, in the Ngalwenga, is understanding that you have a role to support the ministry and you're a key role in the ministry. And so all your decisions that you make, about what songs you use for a Sunday, it makes a big difference. Lisi ngaka e laku loku, and they won't hear anything from the launga. But if they hear a one song that touches their heart, that's ole launga nga, So it's the relationship between the Whiwhiau and bridging the ministry, you know. Yeah, among we are, and supporting that. So yeah, I guess be excited about your role as a Faibese and embrace it, make it yours, and and awonga ingalo, is sorry, I know I'm going on, but
No, go
a
ahead.
lot of Faibeses, young Faibeses, can easily fall into a trap where it becomes um, oh, I'm the Faibese, I will love it me se kai mi e ke whape ke mi mika i lo ka lengi ma lo coffee wha Faibese because um, you have to remind yourself at the end of the day everything you're doing e whai mo le vi ingo le kua. And as long as you keep that in mind and keep that in your heart, in the heart of your ngalwenga, e manguia lo ngalwenga, regardless of how tired you are, regardless of how stressed you are, when you come and do your business, man, if wai mai a le kuale, le ko mai, ma le malosi, and you'll never have any problems, So if you keep that in mind at the heart of your ngalwenga is helping the ministry and whai mo le vi inga le kua. I tell you, I guarantee you, e manguia lo ngalwenga wha bese. Um, can I get a hallelujah?
Ole
Sorry,
heko le whapopo kua le ilau kalanga pe mai a le ilinga luenga whawhai pesea ia awangi e mga kumo runga ai. Wale Malaysia me ole whalungo lau o whai pesea le ske. Because how we talked about it before, ole kele ai kele o changes mga ngai e ke mawa i le ngaruanga whai pesea, you get it from the whai pesea. Awangi aru malo ma kuwhape le oe le sa ia onga oe le ke malama le musika. If you really hear whakuanga ma kuala e koe ingala au mai. E mga ia si whakuanga penka ka musika ia au mai ngā lako whakuanga. And when you use it You can hear very kwamba you are belenga. Then ko kilo si fai pese o I know some of the fai pese. Then fai mai la ko nga ruenga fi wanga si au fai pese fai mai fo kuanga mai le ko kile mama la mai me ya. If you take the time and really listen to their advices, and mga your advices ngai ko inga mga iluma ko e mau mai de.
Mm,
So I really wanted to get into the creative process, as musicians. I mean, you write music, you compose music, you write songs and compose music. Where does that inspiration come from? Like, what is it that gets your creative juices flowing?
mm. Um, as a as a faipese, I mean, I'll speak on that first. As a faipese composer, I mean, yeah, as a faipese in composing music for a faipese for choir, um, it really, it's different. I very rarely compared to when you're writing songs as an artist, as a solo artist, or for a band or anything. Writing for church is really like I'm really guided by like the kusipese or like a certain season in the church calendar, or or even like when I think about the Alfibese, like joined when I first became full time Faipese in Dunedin, we had a lack of Pese Leangang, but yeah, we probably only had like the five main ones. If I solo every Sunday, so it's the same, and so I made a goal of mine that year is that I'm gonna write or teach, a couple of new Bisilengang per year to fit for the service, and that's what I done. That's what I did. Sorry. Um, so that's kind of like the inspiration in terms of like for Bisi. Obviously, for when it comes to Easter, you're driven, you're motivated to write songs to fit either Gaulia, uh, Easter or Christmas. Probably not so much Christmas. Christmas here, Kelia Langa Maia, Kamakuai classics, but especially when it's Gaulanga, Whainga Me, it's an opportunity for the composers to flex their muscles a bit. Um, as an artist, so as moving to like the solo stuff, it really depends on how we're feeling or an experience. Um, Especially working with Livy, uh, we try and we're always trying to push the barriers, like you know push the bar in terms of it could be a love song, but trying to make it like not your average love songs. There's so many, especially in the Samoan music industry or the Samoan music scene. Ole faula inga pese love le el gaming. Yeah, we're always trying to push the bar and in terms of the language and even the chords we use. Those like we always be like, nah, maybe nah, it's just kakile, and and I really like that about our process. Um, we all like even with the ngangana, which Levi might allude to later on, but if there's like a langa upu or something or like a story that we really are really drawn to, whether it be like a fictional story or something that we've experienced in our lives. Um, we're really attracted to that, and stuff outside the square, like outside the boxes, is is where we tend to like a lot of our unwritten stuff that we haven't written about, but we've had conversations about. Are really like some of the scenarios are not your normal, like boy meets girl. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, old man slipped on the fatty, and how he, like. But that's what we tend to try and shift the lens a bit, so it's not your normal. This is life, looking at life from different angles, and yeah, we always have to have a few beers.
I don't think you're gonna mention that. Okay.
Well, this is the first time I mentioned it. Like,
This is
ever,
what it
but
is.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we always have to have like have a few beers, or even just like, yeah, we always have to have something to kakai you say, yeah, mama fofonga. Olivia
Mm.
can probably elaborate on that, but we find that when we sit and try and focus on writing a song, we'll never write a song. Like it
Mm.
Yeah.
never happens.
Mm.
But if we just like jam and then yeah, passing a PUBG, yeah, go your mic, or like go outside, smoke or have a break. Yeah, that really helps because when our minds refocus, oh man, dangerous.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah. To me, the creative way, yeah, as a fipis, for me is because I'm not a composer. If when I say fipis, meaning me or basically just pianist. I don't really write tunes. But as an artist, as a songwriter, ile kusingo pese,
Mm.
my lue malani, I I can say that Aluyo Faiva and to Manū and the other songs we've done, I have zero input to the tune of the song. Ada nga 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 de line fayole fingo pese. O mai lo ko pua ke fi solo. I like to write
Mm.
poems, and when I met Lani, I used that the kalengi ngale ko ya o le kusolo. If I kusema ma pese, so it's a perfect match. Ke lakua velo kule, and that's why I like working with Lani as well. Pe bakua le sentence fa pe ke le ofi de kama imere le pese. This guy can fit it. Kwesui ya ko ale ya le fa vai o le pese kwesui uma ya ofi le lenga le kasi ko le pese. That's yeah. As Lani was saying as well, I don't think we've ever written a. If you give us two weeks to write a song, we'll probably write it in the last hour or the last 2 hours. It will never work. It will never work. Even when Lani comes over, we're like, all right, let's finish this song. We know that our mindset are not in the game, so we end up not writing anything. We just don't bother writing. But we just sit around, like maybe after playing some games, and then we're like, oh, this is nice to put in that verse. As soon as we have that start, we're gonna finish that verse in less than an hour or so. Yeah, it's
Okay,
funny
yeah,
the way.
well,
We just needed to start it, and it's funny.
yeah.
Um,
The thing Olivia was saying, and I think is a really um, what sets us apart from upon reflection, what sets us apart from a lot of songwriters is that like how you were saying, he'll come with a line that big, and we try and fit it into here. Um, but when that happens, like the music doesn't take precedent. Like that's not the lyric is the the story is the important thing, and I think that's something. That's something I picked up in uni, like the whole learning how to set music to words,
mm,
to text, and I think that's how we've done it ever since. We that it doesn't the music isn't matching. It has to change. It has to
mm,
change because the music will come and we can.
Mm.
But I
mm,
think focusing on the message and the text is really
yeah,
we probably spend more time like fleshing out the text and making sure it makes sense to us first before we musikaye whengofianga adjust chords. But
Mm.
that's what I
mm,
think I love. Yeah, like Chivi was saying, I love that part of our process is that trying to focus on the text and make sure that that's whekawi first. Yeah,
yeah,
will be like, oh, yo, this is mean tune, will make it fit, but a lot of the time it's the text takes
yeah.
priority.
And
Mm.
I think that's why we can't write um, any songs using an old fucky.
Mm.
Say like a Samoa bise that's already there. I don't.
Mm.
That's why to me I can't translate or write a Samoan version of any song that's already existed because
Mm.
I've tried, and when
Try-
I hear the Palangi verse, I want to say this alifikawiya. I can't tell myself oh, I need to cut it down. I can't
Mm.
do that. Like I want to say this. Like I have to build a
Yeah.
new team to it. Yeah. So that's why I take my hat off to people that can do that. Like you guys
Mm,
said.
yeah. We've
Do
tried
you,
like
sorry, go
recently.
ahead,
It
go ahead.
doesn't work.
Yep.
Oh no, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
tried
We're
and
picky
failed.
picky writers, eh?
You know,
Mm.
do you think your friendship helps does your friendship add another layer to the fact that you guys make such a great writing team? Or do I mean and then on that, do you guys ever fight when you're writing music and there's some
No.
disagreement? And whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? I can see you both looking at each other. Go ahead.
um, no, the thing with me and Lani is that I know where Lani's strength is as in writing music, and he knows where my strength is in writing music. So as soon as we get to that place where I disagree, he'll know. Oh, okay. Like, trust is there. That's what I'm trying to say. The trust is there. When I say that, oh, I like this better, Lani will automatically be like, "Yo, Seki." And even if tune wise, if he says, "Oh, we'll change this to that," I will automatically say that because it's kaya trust kong uli kusingo. But I don't think we've ever thought on writing a song. We thought about other stuff, but not, not while writing the song.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think. Yeah, I think our friendship. Um, I mean, it's weird calling it a. It's weird. Yeah.
So a
Yeah, it's,
brotherhood, brotherhood.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I
Right?
mean. Like our for some reason in the background, like their relationship. Because I mean, as our mafkanga, whatever, our our mafkanga together has definitely played um like a big part in what we do, but not in a like we never set out to be like, oh, we're gonna like release these songs and write. Yeah, it was never a natural
mm,
le le building on the mafkanga malivi right from the beginning. Like it's you know like
yeah.
it's
The
the story is just
Yeah, it reminds me of this one time we were writing we were writing a song about beers. Remember when we were writing songs? So we got this tune, the tune they get if I don't call it if heaven there is no beer. So we wrote verses to it. It was fun, like and stuff like that. So that's one of the songs we wrote and just playing around with it. Then we ended up hearing it. We're like, bro, we could actually record this.
yeah it's
Coming soon.
coming soon. Yeah, coming soon. But when we're Levy's, I totally agree with Levy when he says like there's we're so masangi with the way we work, and that trust is very correct what Levy was saying.
Mm,
Um, regardless of um, regardless of what my musical training and Levy's knowledge in terms of the craft of words and stuff, I find my Levy was like maybe use this for tune. Like automatically I know, yeah, okay, Seki. And then every time that's happened, like it's been for the best, and even with word, like vice versa. And I think that's what makes our writing team really solid. Yeah, we haven't ever fought over over music. Um, one thing I learned growing up is brothers fight. You know what I mean? And so
mm,
we fight about silly stuff. Um, but that's what brothers do. You know what I mean? But I think we've both at times been creatively frustrated. Like we know when we're working something and we know like we were so close or this is really burning. It's
mm,
burning. Heaps of burning. Like we'll get frustrated not at each other but at the fact that we in that space can't get right. And so when we hit that road or we hit that roadblock, it's like, yeah, smoke, or go
mm.
outside, get some fresh air, just drop it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's fun. It's been fun.
I'm so glad Livy's here because I don't know if I could ask a lot of these questions without having Livy's input. Like we just never get to hear Livy a lot of
Yeah.
the times, but now listening to you both sharing about the teamwork and just, I mean, I'm so glad you're here, Livy. I wanted to talk about the importance of writing songs in Samoan language because did you think that Alo your favor? I mean, did you think it was going to be received like blow up and that the world, people around the world were going? Did you think it was going to be well received like how it was? Because yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
Mm, I
um.
think. Oh yeah, Ish. Yeah,
Oh, you
you
go.
go first. I have to think about that. Yeah.
I think to me, I don't know. I don't know about Lani, but to me, I kind of had a feeling because of the feedback we got from the people who did listen to the song before it was released. Because we played it in a couple of events that year. We played it at the Soto. We even sang it for our competition, the skit competition back in Samoa.
Samoy.
mm,
Mm,
And the feedback we got from those performances was really good, and I think it gave us a feeling that this song will blow up the way it did. Yeah.
mm,
yeah. I don't think we. Yeah, like, I tell you, I'm agree with what Lee was saying. I don't. We knew it would go places. Like we knew people would like it and people would respond to it. Like I remember. Ush, I don't know if you remember that one year we taught it for the welcome and then we didn't end up taking it.
Mm. Yeah.
Like we workshopped it with our the Pacificana choir to
Mm.
do for Soto, not for Soto, for the Pacific Welcome in 2016,
Oh, that's
and
the
we
Pokiti, eh?
yeah, so we
Yeah.
done that
True.
one afternoon, one evening, and everyone like I don't even know if the students remember, but man, it was like a really moving moment, not for us but for them. Like we
Mm.
taught the song, we just had the chorus, and we taught it to them, and everyone was just like fire up. And I think it was then and then subsequently after that with teaching it for Soto and um the Puling in Samoa. Yeah, I think there was always a vision of it being well received, or
Mm.
in your gut when something is gonna be like good, it's gonna be good. But I don't. I say this to this day. I don't think we could ever have been prepared for just how it was received, like just how well it was received right across like the world and the Pacific, or everywhere.
mm,
I think when you're an artist like myself and Livy, from where we come from and where we were at the time, in Dunedin and where we are right now, unless you're like Adele or like or like Chris Brown, you can't expect that kind. You can never preempt that kind of response.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's hard. Vangal ngaka makwai se laupa singe absolutely confident in it, but we're just like, oh, if it's played across like New Zealand and Samoa Siki, but
mm.
not like
Mm.
how it's been
So,
received.
in terms of writing, using, our Samoan language, like how important is that? Like I'm not saying like I know you write in English and Samoan, but seeing that Alo your favor to a manū is, the reception it's getting from so many people, does that kind of encourage you more in terms of, hey, let's just put even more Samoan music out there, or you don't want to box yourself like that, like
Mm.
what are your thoughts on that? Like
Um,
continuing to put Samoan music out there.
I think to me, before I met Lani, um, there were some days he would play the songs that he's already written in the past years, and and most of those songs were all Palangi songs, and I actually thought that in time I thought that Lani's first single release would be one of those songs. Until we actually sat down and finished Alo Faiva and added the rap, and what I'm trying to say is that I didn't expect Lani's first single to be in Simon. I think Lani's straight is same as yourself, Rosa, is writing in English language. If I when I listen to Lani's songs, and I actually thought that he was going to release one of those songs first. So when we did Alo Favor and people started saying towards us, so the gospel artists, Samoan gospel artists, we don't really see ourselves as even in the genre being an artist. We don't really want to narrow down to being just a gospel artist. Yeah, easy genre, so hopefully when that comes out, it'll give a big picture to people that we're not just gospel artists, we're not just Samoan artists. I mean, we are Samoan, like in Samoan music. I mean,
Right.
yeah. I hope that answers the question.
It does. It does. Great answer.
Yeah, no, like Livy's pretty much it. We we are both very uh, we have an eclectic taste, both of us. You ask us who our favorite artist is, it's not going to be a Samoan. I mean, off the bat, and that's not saying anything about Samoan music. It's just
Mm.
that speaks to how colorful our taste in music is, and so um, yeah, I think we we'll always write Samoan music,
Mm.
Samoan songs. That's a given. Whether that's gonna be our for life, nah.
Mm.
But I mean, it will, but it won't. It will for the fact that we will forever do it.
Right.
But we we've got a whole like Lee said, we've got a whole lot of things that we want to do, a whole lot of things that we want to release and write about,
Mm.
and that's not purely just in our capacity as a duo and as solo artists.
Mm.
Like we've we want to write like musicals and stuff. It's more than just this commercial Samoan or commercial mainstream that we're wanting to do. Um, so we don't want to box ourselves, and I think our first two releases have been Samoan. But at the same time, like I said earlier, we're constantly pushing the barrier in terms of our craft.
Mm.
And every song has what I mean by every song, I always count our work that we've done with Faftaile Tour, because
Mm.
Livy and I both
Mm.
collaborated on that, making that album happen. So from Faftaile Tour to Alo Yo Faiva to Tui Manū, every one of those releases has been like growth in terms of our craft, and
Mm.
so it's we've got so much more to give and to share, both
Mm.
in genre and in language and everything. But yeah,
Yeah, I think the language because we've even considered writing a song that is not English, not Samoan, because we both love the other Pacific languages, and if
Mm.
Tokelau, if
Mm.
Konga. I remember we had this talk of writing a song and then just give it to someone to translate it into their own, like translate it into Tongan or Tokelauan, and just
yeah,
release it in their language. Yeah, it's.
That's
Mm,
cool, man. Livy, I want to ask you, because I think you're an amazing rapper. I love hip hop, and honestly, like for you as an artist, um, man, I
yeah.
just love hearing some. When you hear hip hop, when you hear rap in a
Yeah.
different language like Samoan, it just hits different, eh? So, Livy, do you think you're going? Would you ever consider putting out just a full song, which like maybe like vocals, maybe Lani on vocals, but you
Yeah.
just dropping some bars.
Young
Just
Rose Paz, something.
do you ever consider something like that, or you know?
No, because as I said before, I think one of the main reasons why I rap is because I can't sing. Because that's the main reason why I like rapping. Because I like writing. I like, as I said before, I like writing poems, and the only way for me to show that is not by singing, because I have a bad voice. It's by, so I do it in a rap form. Um, uh, but your question, me, Lani, and also Jay Namis,
Yeah,
we've already written a song. Um,
nice.
yeah, in that way.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited. I mean, I think I've heard some, some things here and there, but when that's out there, when that's released, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to that. Like Lani Bruce Springs,
And it
Bruce
was Springsteen.
Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen. What is he to you? Tell us.
I met Bruce Springsteen in 2013. No, I didn't meet him, but you know, God, I wish. But I was working on an assignment for uni. I think it was either a song. It was a songwriting paper and a music industry paper that I was doing at the time, and uh, we were told to. The songwriting paper assignment was to analyze one of his songs. Um, I won't get into the details, but analyze one of his songs. And when I remember being in the lab that whole night listening to this one song, thinking this guy is so smart, so smart. Like you
Mm,
listen to it and think it's just another classic rock song, rock ballad. But the knowledge and the wisdom behind uh, musically, and his lyrics is just out of this world. And I feel like a lot of people, um, who don't know Bruce that well, won't, obviously they won't give him that credit. But I think he's one of the most prolific songwriters and
mm,
musicians of our. So yeah, ever since that time in uni, learning about his songwriting, and then learning, I had to like write an essay, I think, on his career, and I read a book. Shout out to Dr. Ian Chapman and Dr. Graham Downs for introducing me to Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, he means a lot in terms of uh, influence as an artist and as a songwriter. Because even though Levy and I write Samoan music, um, or we work on Samoan songs, but the influence is there in terms of the sound and the way stories are told. Like
mm,
instead of your normal Once Upon a Time, like Bruce just brings it in a different way. We tend to mirror that and um, use that same influence in a lot of the stuff that we do. So yeah, that's when I met Bruce in 2013, and then uh, got Levy infected a couple of years. And I've been Bruce fans ever since, man. Like
mm.
I think if we were to meet him, I think we've spoken about this before, but I think if we were to ever meet Bruce Springsteen, like that's when you see like two grown men just cry, because I would, and that's that
Yeah.
kind of fangirl. Like I think we would actually cry because he's so good. God forever, but he's so good. Yeah.
Mm.
Livy, I know you're now a fan of Bruce, but
Yeah.
is there someone like Bruce that you really admire and look up to, like another musician?
One artist that me and Lani both look up to is other than Bruce is Ed Sheeran. So the way that we sometimes we write songs, we always you can hear Ed Sheeran's what do you call influence in the way we write songs, because he writes songs mostly telling stories, and that's faiva and manū are basically telling a story. So yeah, and that reminds me of when Sharon came down and played at the Forsyth Bar down here in Dunedin. I actually went there without a ticket. I went there and I stood outside, and 660 was playing. They were playing to open up for a Sharon. And when as soon as the Sharon started his first song, this couple walked and heard me sing along to that first song, and they stopped and they looked at me and they're like, "Oh, do you want to go in?" I was like, "Oh yes, please." And they gave me two tickets, and
What?
yeah, so I didn't have time to message him or go back home to get because the concert's already started. I just went in and
Oh,
I saw a friend, one of my friends that was working there. I said, "Oh, like, what time do you finish work?" He's like, "Oh, anytime." I go, "All right, go clock off now." And we went in,
oh
we watched the
man!
show. And I came out and I told this guy who was
That's probably
pissed.
the only. That's probably
Did
the
you
only
guys
time we
fight?
were close to having a fight. Yeah, because I was at work. I
Oh,
had
Oh,
to
that's right.
gig that night, so I had to entertain all the people that are going to Ed, and then wait for them to come back. And then I get home after work, and this guy's the whole flat. The whole
Yeah,
flat. Oh,
was-
bro, the flat was like, "You're not gonna like this." I was like, "What happened?"
oh.
Leave you into
yeah.
insurance. I was like, "Ah, oh my god." Yeah,
It was cool. We even had seats right in the front, so everything
Oh,
was clear.
that's great, mate. That's awesome. That's awesome.
bringing back some.
I think I remember Cherry looking at me at one point.
Oh man, that's funny. I want to talk about Alo your faiva and Tue Manū. I mean, obviously the music, it speaks for itself, but something you mentioned is, it's telling a story and the visual side of it. Man, let's talk about the visual side. Because the visuals, that's what goes up on YouTube. And there has been incredible response. Alo your faiva, 2.7 million views so far, and it's still going up. Uh, we have Tue Manū, which was released on September 23rd, and is currently, I think, on 128,000 views. The visuals and how much of an impact it has had on the song. Let's talk about the team behind the visuals. For both songs, your script writer. Shout out to Sa Lani Alo, and then you were able to connect with someone like Anonymous from 37 Hertz. Then Tui Manū, you bring on someone, a cinematographer and videographer, Kanan in there. These names, like, how have you connected with these people? You've also got your Brown Bruce creative team, Lani Alo music team. Tell us about these amazing people who in both songs have been able to put the visuals together and really tell the story so that it resonates with people watching.
Um. Oh yeah. Where do I start? Like, but I mean, um, how we brought like Anonymous on board and Caden on board really started off. Well, for me, just being a fangirl. Like
Mm.
like I've followed like Anonymous for years now. Uh, since high school, and I've seen a lot of his work in the community, and I was always drawn to just to how dynamic he is as an artist. He's a producer, and he's an artist and a rapper, but there's just something that made him stick out from the rest, and like that was confirmed when he came on board for Alo Your Faiva. It just um, his mind is just it's in a whole other place creatively. And he's such a good dude, And so bringing him on board, and he's a Samoan, and he's very in tune with the Zanganuu, and we all share the same background coming through, the Whakasa and Miko upbringing, and so that all of that linking together, like really made the connection, like I guess, even stronger. And so, yeah, when we brought him on to help with the visuals for Alo Your Faiva, that was man, it was really smooth. Oh, like it
Mm.
was, yeah, it was really smooth. There was no real obviously there's work to do and there's always mahi to be done, but the creative workflow with Fayumu was with Anonymous is just it's very free. It's very free. Always the flow is there. Um, you know, we we weren't as we didn't plan as much for Alo Your Favor because it was so self-directed through the song. So it was just a matter of, okay, this is where we're gonna be, this is what we're gonna do, and it was all quite fluid. Uh, and fast forward to Toy Manū. Actually, before we move on to Toy Manū, like being able to work with Sa, like we met Sa 2017.
17, yeah.
Yeah, so we met Jay Nemesis' little brother first. He came to Dunners, and then Sa came later on that year, and then we all went to church together, and then that same year we found out that she does film,
Mm.
and then we were checking, be like, oh man, you should work on a music video. And we're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Little did we know that 2 years later we'd be actually doing it, and um we ended up all flatting together in 2018, and that's when we really got to I guess, from Masangi to each other's. I mean, obviously living with each other, but also get our creative juices going. And then once we started work for Alo, it was a no brainer really. So it's been awesome to have the sis along for both projects. And then bringing Kanan on for Tui Manū, like same team, Anonymous and Sa, with the script. And then bringing Kanan on again was purely just because fangirl. Like, I mean, if you know, you know. Like, if you follow Kanan on TikTok and on YouTube, you'll know he brings a whole other element of
Mm.
of creativity and spark to the craft. So um, and as I've been saying before, we're constantly trying to push the barriers and push make the experience bigger every time and more. So when we spoke with Anonymous initially, we thought it was a great opportunity to bleed in, some new energy into the team because, I mean, the easy way around it would have just been bring Anonymous down. We had
Mm.
all already previously worked together, just get it done. But it was kind of like setting up for the future. Setting up for the future, bringing new blood into the team. So if at some point in the future, if Anonymous isn't free to do a project, then we've got that Masanginga with Kanan.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the visuals, it was definite for Toy Manū, especially. It was a big collaborative work between myself and Sa and Folkua from Levy and Matt and Matt and Kanan. Like even on the Russ, I don't know if you remember, like every day of Toy Manū,
Mm.
we start day one. Day one was easy because it was just performance shots. But
Mm.
then at night, we'd spend like 3 or 4 hours after a full day of shooting,
Yeah.
mapping out the story. Like it was like that every night, and it was just us around the table. And I think those hours put in at that point during the shoot really made the difference. Because Sai and I had planned along with Levy for months ahead before the shoot, but it wasn't until we were all in the same room that we were able to really pick it apart. And yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but it was a huge process. It was a huge process,
Mm.
and it really was like, yeah, double the mahi compared to Alo
Mm.
Your
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Rush?
thoughts on that, Livy? In terms of your role, and obviously you're like in Alo Your Favor, and then of course getting to work with these amazing creatives again and Tui Manu. Like, what were some of the things that you were seeing behind the scenes?
Um, um, sorry. working with Anonymous and Kanan, um, working with Anonymous and for Alo Yo Faiva was really nervous when we first started. Only reason is because I know Anonymous have worked with other big rappers, um,
Mm.
movements and snare and them. Like
Yeah.
here's me new to the game. I don't want him to look at me and be like, "Oh, this guy's a rookie." I tried my best to perform as best as I can, because of how high I looked. Yeah, Fayumu. I really look up to Fayumu, and it was even easier because they were both Samoans. That made a lot of difference in Mako shooting. Yeah, we see the culture influence in everywhere we go. Makam day one till the finish day, you can see the culture being practiced in there every day.
Mm.
Um, that made it easier for us as well.
Mm.
Yeah, and for Toy Manu, when I met Caden, I actually didn't know Kanan. It's only after Lani told me to check out Kanan's TikTok and his stuff online. When I looked at it, I was like, bro, this guy is this guy is something else, man. Yeah, so it's really cool working with Kanan and Fahim. They're like top dogs in the game at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, earlier you mentioned Samoa, the schools tour. Um,
Mm.
you went in February last year, Jan Feb,
End of
and
Jan.
this was just before the pandemic. Really, they started shutting down all the borders. Um, what was it like when you hear kids in all these different schools just singing, belting out the song, and then having rap battles to see who can do Livy's, who can do Livy's part the best? Like, can you tell us, like, what were you feeling just to kind of see our young children just doing that? Like, what was that like?
Oops. It's gonna get freaked.
I think how I felt. It's different from Lani, of course, because Samoa is my home, and I see those kids around every day. And it was cute. We really enjoyed the primary schools more than the high school, and not in a bad way. It's just they were funnier, and it was funny how after every performance, each school they come up with their books and their pencils to sign.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was cool. It was like, man, you'll probably lose their book by the end of this year. Yeah, that was funny. It was nice. The high schools were a good experience as well. I went to Samco College, so but we didn't get to perform there. But it was good to perform at the Fakasa schools
Mm.
and some other colleges. It's a trip down memory lane for me. Being back in a high school in Samoa, it's way different than here. It's ke vai le whaaloalo ma le sipili a kamiki a onga i Samoa. It was good.
Mm.
See, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. It's the energy. It's the energy that, like, Livy was saying, we enjoyed the primary. Like we enjoyed all the schools, but yeah, the energy that the little ones, because they're no
Mm.
filter. They no filter. You okay? Savali kwa follow mo kurang biji. Oh, sila po la come. Like but that's funny. Like you can't be angry at them because it's just like, wow, these kids are so honest, and that's what we loved is their honesty. Like they really did enjoy. You'll know a school that didn't like it, they'd just be sitting there. But every primary school we went to, they were engaged. It was weird at first because at the time of the tour, I've got a makale gausanga, so everyone's in classes haven't really started.
Yeah,
Ah,
they're doing underwingers and
they're
stuff
doing
like that.
aluwingers.
Mm.
So we went. I think it was Leilumuenga and Malua Fo. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
we went
Mm.
to Malua Fo like they didn't know what was the whole thing with the tour was about. They're just like, oh, we've got these two guys coming to perform for us. And so I remember some of the teachers were like, hey, whalawe lavingi, lari tour oh my, we've got to go clean the classrooms and vele the vau. And so when we got there, I was like, oh gosh. But the whole purpose of the tour was Samoa had just been through the measles, and that was around time, like Christmas and New Year's. And so the whole purpose behind the tour was one to come back home and say thank you to Samoa for all the love with Alo Your Faiva, but it was to help, boost the morale and the energy for the start of the year. And so I remember the principal at Malo Fo, or one of the teachers, after we had performed, because the whole set there was a purpose behind every song. And after we performed, she was like, yeah, nga nga ule fia le fai mai o le lano mai ni kai, because they had to do all these wingers. But after hearing what we had to do through our music, she was like, it was the perfect, it's just what they needed to pick them up for the start of the year. And yeah, I think that was a really I guess important milestone for the tour is that we were able to achieve that what we wanted in terms of it motivating our kupulanga, our young Samoan youth coming through in school to really give them a good kick off for the year. And then after that it was like, yeah, ole velen vau, but like it was that was the cool part of the tour, like seeing the kids just seeing the response.
And I guess overall, when you think about the tour, what's the biggest learning curve? What was a big lesson, or just just what did you learn from that experience? What was a big learning curve for both of you?
Don't get tattoos till 4 in the morning before a big day on tour.
Okay.
I mean, this is just a lull kind of learning, but the last day of the tour was on a Thursday, and the last place we were going was Kua Sangapu, to my village where I'm from, and so we had been in touch with. So we'd done a show the previous week with in collaboration with Manū Art Studio. Shout out to Lalovai and Nikki. And so Lalovai had generously agreed to our Gaulimas. And on Wednesday, he was like, come by Wednesday night. We'll get them done, just have chill. Man, we got home at 4 in the morning, like, because it was Livy first, and then I had to go mine, and yeah, we were so tired, like, that day. The last day of the tour, we're lucky that Dad, like Reverend Efu, was driving for us because it's a long drive. But we were just in the car like knocked out, man. But that was, I mean, that's it's funny, but that's actually like a good learning, like, to get some rest, and because we're having long days too on tour, we'd do a full day of touring and come back and do like a 5 hour rehearsal with the youth choir, because we were prepping for a concert at the end of it. So getting rest on tour is always it was just a reminder, because we were like, yeah, we'll be fine. But
Yeah.
What about you, Livy?
Yeah. I was just thinking about that same day, that last day. Like what Lani said. Yeah, lava len malolonga give me. As I remember, it was that day where I had my worst experience as a kula fale. As when we went there and the ngu came, and if I did ever, we didn't have any kula fale with us. I had to do the Fulfola Ava and the Lawakali. The Fulfola was alright, and then the Lawakali, I just froze. I was blank everywhere. Yes, but to me, as a kula fale, I didn't want that to happen. But I think all the brain cells in my brain just decided to
They're fried at the time, eh?
Yeah.
Mm,
So I came home and that was a big lesson for me. Always be prepared as well. It was good. Another thing we learned is that one gig is enough for 50 people, not four. It's too much. Uh,
Hard out.
and
Yeah.
oh yeah, as Lani was saying, we got to go back to Shangapu, Lani's village. We went to Nufuali'i as well, and we played at
Mm.
the primary school Nufuali'i. The principal at the time is the current Minister of Education,
mm,
Angasiata. So we got to meet him before he becomes the Minister of Education. We got to meet the Deputy Prime Minister now as well, Tuala
Oh
Bonifacio.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, that
Oh,
was before they joined politics. But it was cool to realize now, to know now that they're they're one of the VIPs in Samoa, which is
yeah.
cool.
mm,
Yeah,
And we got to meet Tulepa too. Like I think
mm,
that was
yeah,
our first engagement on that
mm.
of the tour was actually something we had organized for. We had someone that had organized for us well in advance. Um, we were able to perform at what's the name of the church? Was?
Ole
Fe-
loku katoliko wait, yeah, ole wangala.
Yeah,
Mm.
what the parish that the church that Tulepa prime minister at the time that's where he worships it.
Yeah,
So
at
we got
least
to
I. Mm.
yeah. So we that was cool. You know, regardless of what people say about Kulepa and the politics, but as like just as a man, like as a father,
Mm.
he you know he was cool. We got to sing at the church, and then afterwards he came. We took photos and we sat down and had a chat. And he's all good, eh? Like
Yeah.
like he was just a man. He was just another churchgoer, and I think that was a really cool experience and a really nice way to start the tour. Like
mm,
I don't think many can get that kind of experience starting your tour with meeting with the father of the nation. Like
Mm.
you know, so and his blessings. You know, he gave us his blessings for the tour and our time in Samoa, and you can't go wrong when our elders bless you
Mm.
and stuff. So
mm.
that was a nice sweet memory. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that Livy shared that experience. You know, he froze, and I guess that can lead us into my next question, which is, you know, about the importance of our culture, our Samoan culture. You both, you know, have been bestowed with, you know, matai titles from your families. What has your experience been like as a young matai? You know, as a matai in terms of service to family, to church, and just the secular community in general. What have
Mm.
been some of your experiences so far?
Um. Well, I got my Vingalipa in 2017.
17, 16.
Yeah, around I think 2017.
Yeah.
And I just recently had my Mangasiata
Mm,
2 years ago. And the role of because our Matai titles are Kulafale and
mm,
Kulafale or Fayupu. Um, the experience of being Kulafale, it really helps with where I am right now in Dunedin,
mm,
because I actually get to practice my Tulafale here. If I was to be back home, ele ke langi opportunity u ke kua lunga because ele ava ele falo alo I makai ma kua e la ko ke whaia ia la ko e whai upuma au in Dunedin and now, especially in the university, I get to practice my kulafale here and use that part of the culture. Ingai ma o ingai fo ika ia mo le lumanga ia pe un koi fo ia ku Samoa ma.
Mm.
It's a good experience. Mm.
mm,
Yeah. I mean, same. You know the cool thing about. Oh, sorry. Step back. I received my Lisa title in 2019. Uh, prior to that, um, I mean, even though Levy and I work on our music together, but we actually like sounds jams, but we do like we do life together. Like every part of like our growing up as young men, we do together, and that goes for the manū as well, and our role um, as young Samoan men. And so, um, when we first met in 2015, it was our role as kaulelea, and and we spent a lot of time sharing with between us and Leusoya Moanga, Sammy Seau,
Mm.
and some of the other brothers, and so uh, yeah, we talk a lot about our roles and our different stages of life. So we're from being a kaulelea to now that we're being makai, and Livy's so right. Like Dunedin's the best place to practice that within the uni, as well as within the church, like you kongole
Mm.
kalesi. Um, and even just in the community in general, like
Mm.
they acknowledge that even though we're young matai,
Mm.
and I think it's a cool thing about being a young matai, a young Samoan in Dunedin is that uh, I mean it's not about the acknowledgement, but the honor that they do acknowledge you is really nice,
Mm.
um, and we've been able to like this year, with working at the university, I've been able to be the kula fale for my boss, for the Sungia Tangi Lima when we go in between departments at uni. He's like, "Oops, you ready?" He's like, "Yeah, Siki, I got you," and that's cool, because to be able to practice that in an
Mm.
institution like the University of Otago, uh, it's, it's cool.
Mm.
Um, but especially in like when I speak about in church as well, like o le māngaia o le ngalue i le loi Dunedin, i ko kongo le kalesio, i le ongo le kua lalo, like the support from the
Mm.
older ones are. And you learn to filter out, like you know what to filter out, like what to take on and what to just be like, yeah, malo, yeah, whawhkai. But that's a cool experience, like when they give you feedback on stuff to work on. But yeah, Livy and I do a lot of this growing together. Like we
Mm.
write our language together. We write our um, yeah. We tend to share a lot of those things together. So
Mm.
our growth is e follow alishi alishi.
Mm.
Yeah.
Ang
You know,
mga yo oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Ole, mga yo lang ole. The good thing about being a young Matai is that you have different hands.
Mm.
Like me ke ai ku wa lo kulang wa e pe mai makai e kaule le e
Mm.
kaule e kamo e mo e fai me ama that's why it's nice because if you do stand up to do a ngaluenga fakula fale at the same time you are practicing, you are experiencing that. So when you do that as full time, ma vai ko lo ko sanga kaule le ala wa e masangi.
Mm.
So it varies. So we always amako wo falsa o fai la pa fango ma me fa penga
Mm.
o ve ale ke me e fa mai sia o ke kulunga e fa sia la kali pe ku fola ava. That's your time to practice the kula fale part. So when your youth days is over, e kau le koe fa masangia o i nga ruenga fa kula fale. O la wa e masangi lesa e kau le ama kula fale ke me kas. Which menga and okay. Okay, faukua fo ia I usoma makufa thing e kupulang kalavo.
Mm.
Once if you get the opportunity to do your makai, I will ke popole vedele fa pe ile o ele le leilo fa sa moa po ele le leilo wangu. Faukua nga take it, you'll learn it from there. Leilo makai le kiki ma e kaulele. Ngai lo makuangi wa leilo makai. Wa
Mm.
leilo fa seme. No, that's my advice to you. Yeah.
Mm. That's cool. You know, both of you have completed your Malofia journey. You've, like what words of encouragement, as young men yourselves, would you give to other young men who are also looking to take that journey on to get there better? You know, what's some encouragement that you would offer to them?
Don't drink the night before.
Okay. All right.
But actually,
Actual. Okay.
not against that. Yeah,
um,
you
oh
go
yeah, go
first.
boss. Giga.
Yeah, I think, and this is coming from. I hate to use the term, but this is coming from someone from a Samoan who was born in New Zealand. New Zealand born Samoan.
This is birthday.
New Zealand birthday. This come from a New Zealand birthday. A lot of people who are thinking about getting the bit, and you see this on comments on social media and videos and stuff all the time, like, oh, I want to get my bit up, but like, only this is something that I've learned over the years, and even more so, doing life with Livy, is getting a better doesn't automatically make like you don't have to qualify automatically as an expert, like
Mm.
because I think that's the misconception that a lot of young Samoan, whether you're in New Zealand or in the diaspora or back home, like if I be, oh, I have to. I have to know everything about like I have to be well. That's not the case. Like that's impossible. You can never be fully. Uh, you can
Mm.
never fully know everything about the Samoa. And so it's a journey. It really is a journey. It's a once you get your better, you have to obviously yes you have to be prepared to learn and to embrace your role. Whatever it may be. If you're a kaulelea, if like Livy was saying, kula fale, you have your role. You have to be ready to embrace that. But don't get caught up on the whole. Um, oh, uh, I don't know my Samoa. I don't know how to. It's a journey. It's a journey, and don't let that hold you back from wanting to get your better, your manū. Just be ready to serve. Be ready to
Mm.
serve and to embrace that part of the journey. Um, yeah.
Mm. No, yeah, I agree with Lani. We have to ave ese le mafofaunga le ole I can't get my bit up because I'm not learning on upu. Ele lava sa uilo ele angu.
Not well versed in that.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
eh, kaunga ave ese because if anything it's wrong. It's not part of the culture le upu even the saying kamo molo ngu ka elo pia.
mm,
I have no idea who came up with that, but that is not true. Ne kamo molong ka lope because the kakao ai it's a mark of your service. It's the beginning. Uh, uh, Back in the Kemiao Asoangabua, the only people who are allowed to be in the Makai's house, the only people who are allowed to whakauwhi konga ma me mamalu samo are people with the beer. So how are you supposed to learn everything if you don't have the beer? Like ole pea I ole amakango o loko kua. Amakango o loko kua. E o le language, the language is fine dava pea. Pau e ala ua ia mau as long as you have that small Samoan blood in you, you deserve the beer as much as anyone. Le wa uma ke mi ole sa fa mamalu ia pea yeah, bit of a give me a cup or the bit but I don't want to go too in details too much in Makapua for the Philly. But if I go on I uso mo ko fa thing no sa ole just do it. Ole if I go on just do it. Yeah, make sure you're physically prepared as well as mentally prepared as well. Ia prepare lo mafau, especially prepared as well. Mo mia le kua ke mi whapea. Don't my best. I think the one advice that I would tell people is that don't carry the pain alone. In fact, Lealo ki ngā ia, you can whaasolo ki ngā I kau whale mau ma people they ngai end up beside the time. Aweke don't be that guy ka kwa ki ngā stay there with a straight face. Show your pa pe ka ngai whaali o ki ngā e langonga e rau ainga ma kaka ko langolango. You'll feel some kind of ease in the pain, knowing that other people understand what you're going through. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Don't be the other guy.
Maybe that guy. It does answer the question. Thank you. I want to talk about being in the public eye. Being in the public eye. I remember when in 2020, prior to Alo Your Faiva, coming out, like I was here when that blew up, right? But I was there, like, I guess that, I mean, people see Lani around and I'm like, yeah, he's, they know him. When I went back, in our recent break, I was always just in awe. Like, when people just like know him or like say hi to him. I went to an interview with him and people were just like really buzzing out. And I was just standing there like, oh, is this what it's like to be famous? I was like, oh, Allah has changed it to us. I mean, like when you're in the public eye, is it scary? Is it like, I guess, to be recognized when you go? I mean, Livy said you went to Samoa and the kids were coming asking you for your signature. Like, what is it like living in the public eye? If you can say that, because
it's. I mean, yeah, people.
Overwhelming.
Overwhelming. You hear a lot of. I mean, you hear a lot of famous people like fame isn't what it's made. It really isn't. When like even going up to the shops, like when I'm at home, like you guys know, when I'm at home, bro, fasau sulu like
Yeah.
ada kia pa fa alu fale lo mesin like fai le ar mi kia for kama I mean because
look presentable.
I mean not you don't want to kill but you just want to look like decent like you don't want to be there and sometimes I think like and this guy knows like sometimes I just don't care like I am who I am but it definitely is very overwhelming especially not so much in the public eye in person. People are normally quite respectful. They're quite. It's almost. I feel sorry for them because they're very scared. I'm like they'd be scared. Like I don't I like that kind of interaction. People come up like yo what's up, Oos? Like I'm big fan. I like that because that's cool. It's the online stuff that's scary. The online stuff is way more scary than meeting someone face to face. Because you get people who message through and they start off as big fans and then they just get too much. They just get too much. Like that's all I can say. They're constantly messaging, like yeah. It's so good to keep in touch with people. But
Boundaries.
yeah, boundaries. Like, and it doesn't happen all the time. I probably only had one really scary experience, and I went out like, I mean, I don't know if this person watches, but this person was like calling me from another country, like just seeing how I was doing, and that person was a big fan, but I was just like, yo, man, there's boundaries, like barriers that need to be put up to, and that's the scary thing about online is I feel like you're more accessible online than when you're in person. So yeah, it's really sometimes you just want to be just Lani from Messi, like. But I like it up here when I go to the shops. Like I don't get, oh my god, it's like that's what I like. It's just being fitting in with everyone else. It's when you're at functions and stuff. It's part of the job. It's part of the role. Or not the role, but it's part of the. It comes with the profile. But
Mm.
yeah, it's draining sometimes, especially if you're doing media. Like if you're doing media and I don't mind interviews, but doing like one after the other can be really draining.
Mm.
So yeah, it can be
Mm.
taxing, but it's cool. It's fun meeting new people and interacting with people. But there's just always that. Sometimes you just want your space to breathe, and you want people to just. I mean, obviously they like you and they respect you and stuff, but sometimes you just want people to just chill and be like, like, oh my god, it's Lani Alo. It's like, that's Lani. Just, you know, that's what it's like for me. Yeah.
Mm.
Livy?
I didn't have that experience that much because most of the year I'm in Dunedin, and Dunedin everyone knows everyone, so
Mm.
everyone know me and Nani as me and Nani. They don't know us as the people from Aloiu Faiva.
Mm.
Even it's the same thing back home as well. Well, because I know a lot of people and uh, I don't get recognized as the rapper from Aloiu Faiva. I don't mind that. It's this funny story. Me and Lani were it was during the tour, and this I was recording Lani, and someone came up to me. There were people around us, but someone came up to me. Is like, "Oh, is that the guy that sings "Hello Your Favor"?" I go, "Yeah," and he goes, "Oh, so where's the guy that did the rap?" And I go, "I don't know."
Oh
uh,
man,
yeah.
that's not a
uh,
real
so
fan. Oh,
that was
Big
funny. That was
fans,
funny.
big fans.
He's like, "I've been coming out right." I was like, "Dude, I'm not."
oh man,
uh,
that sucks.
No, yeah, it was funny. I told this one afterwards. I was laughing about it.
I
Um,
think people only like it's not until we're together,
yeah, it's
It's not until we're together that people like make the connection. Like, oh shoot, that's Lani and Livy. But when
mm,
we're like on our own, like see, like some people have to do
yeah,
like a second take.
You
yeah.
Yeah.
know,
Well, I was
I have a question. Just a continuation of this is that does being recognized make it harder for you to enjoy yourself when you're just out in public with friends? No, the reason why I ask this is because in this day and age of technology and of course clout, people are always pulling out cell phones and just filming. Just people could be looking at filming from behind a pole or something. Like, have you? Does it make it harder for you to just be out and enjoy yourselves with your friends? Have you had any experiences where people are just like in your face or filming from behind a pole or a tree, something like that, or not really? I mean, does something like that worry you? Are you mindful of that kind of behavior?
I'm I'm mindful of that kind of behavior here in Auckland.
Mm,
In Dunedin, nah.
yeah,
mm,
Like Livy said, like in Dunedin, we're just Lani and Livy. We're not like Lani Alo and Livingstone Efu. We're
right.
just like we're TV and Tipo. Like that's who we are. You know what I mean? Like that's everyone knows. Like so, like we could and be when we gig on the weekends, like when we're at Vault, like man, we have a good time. But I'm never, well, for me, I'm never worried that someone's gonna, because no one's gonna like be doing those kind of snaps. Like the only snaps and stories you'll see of us on the weekend is when we're gigging and
Mm,
when I'm on the mic and stuff, and people are just there to enjoy it. Like so, in Dunedin, it's never an issue. When I'm in Auckland, I because yeah, I mean, Auckland's home. Auckland's home. I'm born and raised in Auckland. But I've been away for so long that coming home is very foreign, and so I don't have
mm,
the same connections and that same
mm,
protection is not the same as Dunedin, And what I mean by protection is that you people will look out for you. Like
mm,
up here, it's just family and not it's not until I'm with like um, close friends from years ago that we're still close now that I feel
mm.
sicky. But when I'm out, like if I go to dinner or something, yeah, I can't help but be like, oh, just I'm just always on. I'm not on edge, but cautious there. But sometimes I just like I try not to let it get to me because I still need to just be me, like
Mm.
be. But yeah, it has attention has to be paid to it, but you
Mm.
know it varies. It depends. Even in Samoa, it was like
Mm.
it was. I mean, I don't. Yeah, Samoa like we after like I think it was the Manamea show, our first show, the first week. Like we went out, like we went to Messina, and it was all good. I think it's kind of the same in Samoa, like with Dunedin as well. You don't have to worry too much. You just have to worry about getting jumped. But it wasn't too. I didn't find it too stressful in Samoa. It's just when, like, obviously, when it's time to put your head on, like going
Mm.
in the schools, then. But yeah, it's yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about self care. How do you, each of you, how do you look after yourself? Because, obviously, and I've asked this of many of the guests, is, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Auckland right now, I know Lani is in Auckland. There's a lot of uncertainty there in terms of, just the spike in
Mm.
cases. I know in Dunedin it's not so much, but how do you look after your well-being, mental health, um, outside of music, outside of writing and doing all of that? How do you look after yourself for, yeah.
Um, Self care. As you can tell, I like to hit the gym a lot, press some weights. Self care. Oh man, I'm still learning what that is. I mean, in terms of, I'm still learning how to do that. Um, like like after we done the filming for Tui Manū, I shared, I was sharing with Kanan and Anonymous that I've noticed when I do, like when I'm working on a project, or if I've got like, you go through seasons, and if I'm working on a project, everything's busy, everything's on the go, and then right after that project is finished, like it just goes high, 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 then like crash. And I shared that with the boys because I was like, man, like I know this always happens to me, and I was saying to them like, I know what's gonna happen after Tui Manu, like I just know, and and that's when Anonymous was like, "Oosh, like you need to make sure you have a regimen planned out for those kinds of seasons. Like if you know you're gonna finish this up, make sure you have a plan for how you're gonna self care for the next day." And so, to answer the question, I'm learning. I'm still learning what that is. I don't. I'm not one to watch movies. Like you guys, Livy, I suck at watching movies. Like, but one of the things I'm trying to force myself to do is because I watch series, so, because they're short, sharp. But to sit down like after a big day or a big season of doing a project, like watch a movie just to get my mind off. Um, Family time, like when I was in Dunners, when I was staying with Kangaloa and Eseka, my auntie and uncle, and Omi and Shiongi and the kids. I was really lucky that my break time would just be laughing at the kids, like chilling with the kids. And so that really helped reset me. Or even just watching TV with the old man, like
Mm.
those, because you just sit there and you just let your mind wander. And it's so that's how I take, that's my self care is obviously rest, spending less time on this. Sometimes I just let this charge and just get out of the space of the bedroom or wherever I'm working. Um, but yeah, it has to be something like non-creative
Mm.
because you can't help. Like I believe it probably feels like somewhat the same. Like it's hard to not be creative. Like you watch a movie and be like, "Oh,
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know about that. That story decision. Or that shot wasn't that." So yeah,
Mm.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I find that just sitting outside, like I like chilling outside at night. I like sitting outside like late at night and just being that's the way I like to put myself away from the work.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, rest definitely, because we
Yeah.
don't sleep. We don't sleep. Just getting some decent rest and
Mm.
you know.
I think me self care same as Lani. Heaps of rest. The one thing, because right now at this point of my life, right now I'm doing okay right now mentally.
Mm.
But when I do feel down, a simple phone call back home would just make me feel good straight away after. Yeah, I always try and call my mum and my dad, and just chat with them about anything.
Mm,
You just laugh together and just make yourself feel good. Um, I it doesn't happen to me what Lani was explaining about after uh, after producing or creating anything. I don't feel that or what he feels. Um, but most time I do feel down is mainly because of schoolwork. So studies is the one thing that always puts me down. If anyone that's studying at the moment, always feel that way. But yeah, that's how I take care of myself. I just go home, talk to mom and dad, watch some sitcoms, some comedies, just have a laugh. Yeah,
mm,
that's pretty much it.
yeah.
What does the future hold for Lani Alo and Livingstone Efu? Future aspirations, dreams, perhaps.
Mm. Are we getting married?
Yeah. Ah,
Oh, is it that time?
um, at the moment, the near future, the next few years, me and this guy we already got stuff already laid out for the next few years.
mm,
But I think for the long future, I just go back home and hopefully still um keep this Lani Alo music going from back home in Samoa. Hopefully I'll check out the studios in Samoa for vocals and send stuff with here to Lani and our producer here and keep doing music together. Mm.
mm, yeah. I think like Livy said, we've got so many things that we want to achieve, like musically and you know, with regards to us being young Makai, so many goals and things that we've laid out that we want to achieve over the next, our like 5 year plan, really,
Mm.
3 to 5 year plan, and so yeah, definitely keep making music, um, but one thing that I've learned a skill that I've been able to pick up through obviously being an artist, but also a choral director is um, like like a job as a creative consultant. Um,
Mm.
you know, managing and producing music projects for other people, and I've been able to do that this year, and so I'd like to do that a bit more, like um, and that ranges from recording, like helping record and produce albums for choirs to small scale groups or um, performance. I think with the whole Lani Alo music and the Brown Bruce creative thing, it all comes under that. Like it all comes down to creative consultancy, and that's for both Livy and I. Like
Mm.
we, saying we write songs for ourselves, for choirs, for groups, um, and so I see that being the direction that I and both Livy and I head in to the future, because there's flexibility in that. Like we're not
Mm.
just bound to writing choir music, or we're not just bound to writing songs for ourselves. We like we wanted to like one goal is to be able to write the music the songs and music for the South Pacific Games, like for the
Oh,
Pacific Games.
Mm.
Um, like that's something. The most recent one, we are like, man, wish we like
mm,
at the time we wished like we could have had, but that's it comes with growth in time. But
Yeah.
definitely, constantly being creative. I'd like to get married at some point.
for
uh,
anyone listening.
yeah, I'd like to get married. Then be fooled by the ring. No, I'd like to be. Yeah, I mean, this is further down the line stuff, but I honestly, me and this guy talk about it all the time. Like, because I know Livy wants to go back home
Mm,
to Samoa and go call the village and his family in Samoa. And I honestly, I don't know where I see myself, but I do see myself like Dram's movie moment, but you know, on the countryside or in Samoa, on Livy's outside Livy's Longa and all our kids, like our kids running around and our what? I mean, it sounds so dramatic and funny, but like I hope that that's where our life journey goes. That
Mm.
we can grow old and our legacy continues on through our kids
mm,
and our you know I always think about the Boweshi family,
mm,
and that musical dynasty that is the Boweshi music, the Boweshi family. And I always think, man, I'd love 20, 30 years down the line for people to look back and be like, yo, that's the Alo family, the Efu family music dynasty,
Mm.
Um, just to show like that it's not what we're doing now in Leangaka in our generation. I want that to continue
Mm.
on, whether or not the name sticks with, but yeah, I want our legacy to reach many before we're called home.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's the same as well. Um, I think it was 2019. Nga ko ako sa Samoa, and I was still here, and nga faile mom, my parents and Lani's parents. Sila whenga the friendship between the two families. I think that was really good. That was beautiful thing to witness the creating that bond between the two families. And I think this will carry on as well. Like I call Lani's mom and dad, and he does the same to my to my parents as well. Well, so in the future, I can't see myself and my me and my partner. We can't see ourselves in the future without this guy. It's like the he's like married to us as well. Mm.
Third, third wheel,
Third wheel for life.
proud,
Yeah.
the proud third wheel. I don't know. Happy to be a part of it.
Mm.
Well, I guess on this note, I'm just in a minute. I'm going to give you both an opportunity just to. I mean, you've dropped so many gems. Like I'm just like, man, I'm so happy right now, and I hope that the listeners and the audience, that they take something away from this podcast episode, because I definitely have. I'm going to give you a chance just to drop some words of encouragement, just for aspiring, artists, anyone really who's wanting to, go after a dream, something they're passionate about. But before we do that, I just want to say, just real quick, um, I want to shout out Emmanuel and Sync, amazing maestro
Nice.
producer.
Oh,
I didn't mention him earlier, but we all know the amazing work that he does. Just in terms of the music, so I love what he does. So shout out to Emmanuel and Sync. I also just want to thank you both for coming through. I know that you both are super busy, and that despite the pandemic, I know you're working on a couple of things. You have a couple of things in the pipeline. So this means a lot to me. Thank you for supporting the podcast. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be like interviewing you guys on a platform like this. I'm just a cheerleader from the side. So it means a lot to me. So just handing it over to you two right now. You know, sorry, just before I do that, just keep doing what you're doing, inspiring the young, inspiring people everywhere through your music, these God-given talents. um God is the greatest, and he has given you both a gift that needs to be shared, through telling stories. And there's something this pandemic has taught me is the importance of telling our stories. So I can't wait to see how, as a team, and in your writing, how you will evolve, over the years. So just, I love you guys. Keep doing what you do. But over to you guys now. Drop some more words of wisdom and encouragement just for our listeners and audience. Take it away.
Gang mo?
um, word of encouragement to anyone who's on the same path that we're on at the moment. So if you know you have the talent, you got the creative mindset, you got everything. Um, One thing that it doesn't take a lot of time, it doesn't take a lot of effort to add on to it, but it does make a really big difference. Ole whaloalo male whawhalo loai. I know that being an artist, sometimes it can get to your head. But if you see a very successful artist that has the whaloalo, has the aba whakawhaka, has the le whawhalo loai mai skangaka, it makes a really big difference to that someone ilanga personality. If you're an artist and you got all the goods in you to be a great artist, if you can add this in, it won't even take much effort. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's just ai loa whaloalo mai loa whakawhaka malo whawhalo loa i mai sikangaka. It makes you 10 times better than a lot of other artists. Ole, yeah, I think that's the only advice. And just do it. Oh, my mama, hello, you fine.
Yes.
Word. Um, yeah, I think word of advice for young creatives, uh, you know, take take every opportunity that is presented to you. In time, you'll know how to filter through those opportunities and know what to take on and what not to take on. But for those who are early in their creative journey, like you can only you can only get better by sharpening the tools, and so that starts with um, just really going for it and um, really commit to it. Commit to it for the right reasons. I know a lot of young artists who are coming through who are just doing it for the fame, and each to their own, each to their own. But like fame isn't like I said, fame isn't what it's always made out to be made out. So really commit to it with your whole heart and have a solid purpose behind your craft and what you're doing. Um, we even when you're looking for inspiration, like I said this before in the past, you don't have to look far. Everyone has a story, whether it's good or bad. You have a story, and I encourage you to tell your story with pride. Like you don't have to make up stories, like a scenario about having heaps of money and jewels and girls. And like you, especially for our young Moana creators in the Nakai Wai, Nakai Vanua, you have a wealth of inspiration at your hands and at your, you have access to that, not through only through you, but through those around you. And I just encourage you to utilize that. And yeah, I mean, for those who are inclined toward the faith, like, at the end of the day, aua lavangi whai mo se vi ingo hoi. The highest honor is to be able to, the highest honor as a creative is to be able to serve God, through your craft. And if 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 that
Mm.
is pleasing to God's eye, whew, yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And we tend to forget about it a lot of the time. But man, like when you know that you've given something fully, and knowing what family ingale, I mean, you never know. You can only hope. What family ingale, le sila le kua male, you know.
Mm.
That's probably the most rewarding thing. Yeah, and yeah, shout out to E Man. Yeah, you're right. Like
Yeah.
we wouldn't be. I think we wouldn't be able to achieve like musically what our ideas without E Man. So
Mm.
yeah, shout out to E Man. Shout out to our home base, Wakanta. Dubs up. Yeah, shout out to Wakanta for just like, if you know, you know, man. But our careers are firmly rooted in these people. Like obviously our families, but um, E-Man and Wakanta, all their love. Yeah. And shout out to Vote 21 for always giving us like a place to rehearse. Like through their gigs, man. Shout out to the Vote 21 team. You guys know. Yeah. Yeah.